Hey guys, this is the brown belt video that's being put up on the Facebook page in place of the Facebook Live session. For some reason, Facebook Live was having a number of difficulties when we were doing the brown belt session and it kept shutting down. So I figured we would just pre-record the lesson plan, put that up on the page, and that's probably the way that we'll do it from here on out. So we'll just to ensure the the consistency with being able to get that lesson plan out to you on the Monday and the Wednesday. So again, if you're just tuning into us for the first time, make sure that you grab some sort of an item or an object from around the house, whether it's a table or a bar stool. Maybe it's a sibling or a parent that doesn't mind lending themselves to you for the next couple minutes. Just something that you can place your hand on to prop yourself up against, so that way you don't have as much balance that's going into the actual launch of your kicking technique. We are going to be doing our assisted kicking drills, working our side kick, 4 phases up, out. But while we're out, we're going to be inscribing 2 boxes, and then coming back and then restarting. Okay, so we'll start off with our right side kick. Guarding hand is up, kicking leg draws or chambers, out, inscribe 2 boxes. Now from here, come back and down. Perfect. Reposition, up, out, 2 boxes or 2 squares, back, down. 3 more times. So we're going up, out, back, down, up, out, back, down. Last time. Up, out, 2 squares, back, down. Switch it over to the opposite side. Just to stay in the frame for the video, I always switch the chair so that way I'm still in the focus point of the camera. You certainly don't need to do that if you're working at home, because you're just following along. When you're working this, you want to recognize the fact that you're working synergistic muscles. Synergistic muscles are basically a fancy word for muscle stabilizers. So we have our large muscle groups, your quads, your glutes, your core, your arms, but then you have assisting or surrounding muscles that really assist or carry out those actions that we do, whether we're punching, we're kicking, things of that nature. So when we break things down in a very slow fashion this way, that deep muscle pain that you usually don't feel when you just fire a kick quickly is generally brought on by those muscle stabilizers being engaged in firing, because they're forced to stabilize the body. So part of the thing that you want to do again is take away the balance issue. That's the reason for the assisted tool. And then you can focus on just the articulation of where that foot is going in space. So up, out, inscribe that box, 2 passes of it, back, down. Reposition, guarding hand, up, out, inscribe that box, back, down. Want to build the consistency with the knee to be able to chamber properly and deep into the body each time. Back, down. 2 more times. Up, out, back, down. Last time. Up, out, 2 boxes, back, down. So again, you're going to feel a certain strain on the leg, on the hip, on the butt, maybe even the back, that you typically wouldn't feel when you just fire a general side kick. However, those muscle stabilizers are really coming out into play when we're doing what's called our dexterity kicking. So having the ability to articulate or control that foot in a small window with a lot of power and control takes a huge strain on the body. So that's your assisted kicking drill. You can also do the same thing and sub out the box with, let's say, your figure eights, or by pulsating up and down. You can articulate or manipulate the foot and the leg in really any sort of window that you choose. And those windows should dictate or be dictated by the types of kicks that you do. So for example, if you were to throw a hooking kick, you might want to be able to do your figure eights, because the action that your leg takes during that phase is closely mimicked in that of a figure eight, right? So whatever the window that you're working for leg control, it should closely run parallel with the kicks that you choose to use as a competitor or as a practitioner, okay? So with that said, we're gonna go into our fighting stance. We're gonna take a left lead fighting stance. The hands will be up. We're gonna palm strike. And now from here, roll a slashing elbow all the way through. You wanna have a guard here. So as the elbow arm comes through, the opposite hand that did the palm strike is basically creating this equal sign. So Crew or Professor Samir, he says this quite often, where when you roll through on that slashing elbow, create that equal sign. It shouldn't obstruct your view, but it should give protection to your head or your high line. So palm strike, slash all the way through. Palm strike, slash all the way through. The exaggerated motion that I'm doing right now with this arm way out here is just to embed and reinforce that necessity to not only collapse, but also roll everything forward, right? So it's not a small action by any means. It's a large whipping action that causes that slash or the break of the skin once the elbow makes contact with the face or the neck or the cheek. So you palm strike and slash all the way through. Again, that hitting shoulder should be forward. So I shouldn't be hitting with my right arm and have my left shoulder forward. Palm strike, either get the response from that person by driving them back, or give them something to worry about that puts their hands out of position and then opens up that line for you to hit, okay? So palm strike and then slash through. We'll switch over, right palm, left elbow. Right palm, left elbow. You'll notice that where that right palm goes is more or less still within that same area from where it makes contact with the subject or the person until it goes to a cover hand. I don't want it to leave the scene only to come back to where it just was. So I palm strike and then I roll that rear elbow all the way through. Palm strike, roll that elbow all the way through. A couple more. Palm, elbow, palm, elbow. Again, for added mechanics and a little bit more impact, if you want to take that second step from the palm strike into the elbow, by all means go for it. You might have to, based on the success of that palm strike actually knocking the person back, right? Maybe it was just to make sure that, you know, their hands were there and you want to be able to temporarily blind them and have their vision obstructed, so you come through with the elbow, or that hand actually got through and you didn't anticipate it, and as a result you move them back, right? There's still a threat and you know that wasn't enough to put them down, so you really step in with that elbow. So a lot of what you do movement wise is going to be based on where you are in relation to your partner, right? Two more. Palm, elbow, last one, palm and elbow. So again, quick checkpoint, make sure that the monitoring hand or the checking hand is up here, should more or less be making this number 11 sign or this equal sign, hitting with that left elbow, ensuring that my left shoulder is forward, okay? So just a quick checklist as you start to go through the techniques. So now from here, we're gonna add our rear knee. So I palm, I elbow, and I rear knee. Because the hands are already out, just grab any sort of reference, whether it's the shoulder, hook around the neck, maybe it's a half or a full clinch, maybe it's two hands on the arm, any reference to any body part that you can just maintain contact with and ensure that you're putting the knee to them. The success of you landing a technique is greatly increased as long as you have a reference there, because it's very easy to take your striking tool, whether it's your knee or your elbow or your hand or whatever, and put it to that connection point. If you don't have that connection point, now you run the chance of possibly missing. So palm, elbow, grab, and drive that knee. And again, think about rupturing the organ when you hit the knee shot. You're not doing like an aerobic step class knee where the body doesn't move and the knee just lifts up towards the core. You're physically trying to put the subject down. So you have to lift and drive forward like a battering ram to either create damage to the ribs or damage to the organs. So palm, elbow, grab, and knee strike. 2 more times. Palm, elbow, grab, and knee strike. 1 more time. Palm, elbow, grab, and knee strike. Switch it over, opposite fighting stance. Palm, elbow again, ensure that that cover hand is here. Just go to some sort of a grabbing reference and drive that rear knee in. Mechanically, it makes sense. You're hitting with the lead. While that rear comes through, you're loaded, so you're grabbing, and that back leg that wants to fire, bang, we just let it take off. Palm strike, rear elbow, make the reference to the body, and then left knee. 3 more times. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. The last counter that we're going to do, or follow through, I should say, to this defense is our horizontal elbow. So again, you have a short version of your punch is an elbow. Short version of a kick is your knee strike. And where I'm in range to deploy a knee or land a knee, I'm usually in range to hit with an elbow. So palm, rear elbow, make that reference or create that base, drive the knee, and now from here, it's the left elbow that's going to come through. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, try this a couple more times. Palm, rear elbow, rear knee, load it back, which mechanically just makes this lead horizontal elbow take place. A couple more times. 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason why we're stepping back on this is because, again, if we think about the application or what's happening with the combination, this lets me know that something's in reach of my body. Boom! I know that something's there. So I step in and I hit that with my elbow. Once that happens, I grab that person. I know that they're close because I just hit them with the elbow. So I just extend and I grab them. I drive that knee. If the knee is successful, in which case it most of the time will be because of the proximity from me to them, when I drive this knee, whether I hit the groin, the knee, their leg, their stomach, doesn't matter, you're going to have some sort of a bowing or a crumbling effect where the body's going to lean or tip forward. So as a result, the head or the high line is going to be closer to you than further away. So I palm, I hit with the elbow. That causes this reaction, which gives me the low line. I drive the knee, and from here, I hit the horizontal elbow because I'm anticipating them leaning forward after I've hit them to the stomach or the groin with the knee shot. They lean forward, so I hit them. That's the reason why I retract or I turn backwards. All right? Palm, elbow, knee, elbow. Switch to your opposite lead. Palm, elbow, knee, elbow. You'll notice that the hands still stay tight in a guarded position, whether they're striking or whether they're not. Palm, elbow, knee, elbow. 3 more. Palm, elbow, knee, elbow. 2 more. 1 and 2. Perfect. All right, so the next thing that we're going to work on very quickly is our parry salute, and just recognizing the fact that the best way to avoid getting hit is not to launch an attack, but is to actually move the body. So your number one defense or your first go-to should always be moving your feet and moving yourself offline, and then launching your defense system. To stand there on the train tracks where you're in threat of that thing hitting you, to formulate some sort of a defense or shielding position should be used as a last resort. If I should never overlook the idea of moving and counter hitting versus staying here, shielding and staying on track, trying to exchange with this person, because they're already in motion and I'm necessarily not. So I want to split and get offline while I'm countering. So I'm going to be square because, again, I'm probably not going to know that I'm about to enter a confrontation. So typically speaking, everyday positions, pushing a shopping cart, or you're looking at your phone, or you're having a conversation with somebody, so you're square to them. You don't have a whole lot of conversations at the grocery store in a fighting stance, so you don't want to necessarily prime or prepare yourself from this position. You want to go from a more natural everyday position. So when I'm in my square or my neutral position, I'm going to step to the left as I parry. Because my parrying hand crosses center, it indirectly pins this hand a little bit. So that's the reason why I lift that underneath. If this hand was already up, there wouldn't be a need to go underneath it. But understanding the fact that I'm probably caught off guard and I just recognize that this attack is coming at me and I'm moving out of the way, this hand is low. So that's why it's replacing and it's coming from bottom up. Then I come back to that North Star, that starting position. I move to the right, which means I'm parrying with my right. My left hand comes through and it's my removal or my replacement arm. At the brown belt level, we've done our parry salute before. We've done it not only through these sessions, but we've also done it in application on the mats with partners. So we understand the importance of being able to move and keep that attack off me while I'm continuing to stay close to them and replacing it with my saluting hand. The one thing that's going to be new to you guys today is the parry with an eye jab or an insertion. So I step offline in the exact same fashion, but maybe I don't have enough room or distance between me and my partner to maintain contact with that salute. I didn't get in as much as I wanted. So I wipe through and I use my fingertips as some sort of a distractionary device to go across the eyeball or the eyebrow or towards the sinuses. So I parry and I come through. Where I'm aiming the second shot here, it should be on center line with where my target is. So again, if you think about the attacker feeding a punch this way, I want to make sure that I'm moving offline of that and I'm inserting this where their eyes would be, and then coming back. Whatever I do on the inside, I have to effectively and efficiently be able to do on the outside, because I don't know, one, when I'm going to be attacked and if they're going to use the right or the left hand. So you want to make sure that you can always effectively and efficiently move both in and outside with your right and your left. Okay? Landmark the position first. Step and parry, and then insert the eye jab. Once you get comfortable with this, then start to trail that back leg a little bit so it doesn't necessarily stay right here. It starts to move and go with the body, because ultimately, as soon as this takes effect, there will be some sort of a counter attack that you're going to be doing, so you're going to be in a forward motion anyways. So we might as well start that fundamental training from the get-go. So we step offline and we insert. We come back. Step offline and we insert. Step and insert. Step and insert. 2 more times. Step and eye jab. Step and eye jab. You'll notice that it's almost this wiping motion that comes through. So a punch is happening. I'm slipping offline, clearing it from my body, and my left hand is just wiping that away as the hand goes towards the eyes. Okay? This will be an entry tool that is used heavily for one-step sparring and sporadic attacks, because again, we can't, it's like the old saying, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. So it's a lot harder to defend against basic techniques than it is just to throw those basic techniques. So the jab doesn't take a whole lot of skill to throw, but it takes a heck of a lot of skill to be able to defend against. And the hardest thing is getting offline of the jab. So once you get offline, you've bought yourself a partial second in time where you're either inside or outside of the arm and you can counter hit the person. But you can't do that if you're still on the train tracks getting zipped by that jab. So moving offline while putting down fire at the person is huge for being able to, it's called PIA, progressive and indirectly attacking. So you're moving offline, but in a forward fashion that's changing the pitch of this exchange. So the last thing that we're going to cover is our one-step sparring. I'm going to do this again without having a training partner here. At the brown belt level, there's 8 responses that you're required to have. So we're going to break this down into 2 leg techniques, 2 options to the outside of the arm, 2 to the inside of the arm, and then 2 throws. It might be difficult to visualize because typically this is done in partnership with somebody else, and things like throws and arm positions are hard to see or visualize when there's only one person in the frame. So the first thing that we're going to do, let's start super basic. I'm in my natural stance. Do a retreat side kick or a lateral side kick. So that punch comes forward, don't even move forward. Step off to the side, and as you do that, just look at my legs right now, step off to the side and throw your side kick. The best way to guarantee that you make contact is again to have that reference. So you step off to the side, parry, the opposite hand grabs anything on the arm. Doesn't have to be the hand, it could be the forearm, the high arm, it doesn't matter. And you want to pull as you side kick. So you're in your natural stance, step off line, grab, side kick. That's your first option. Your second one, let's cut that angle a little bit. If we're closing the distance, we know we can't side kick, so let's knee strike. Okay, so parry, salute, grab the body, whether it's the arm in the back, the shoulder in the neck, and then pull them in towards the source of the strike, which is your knee. Parry, salute, and knee strike. Your 2 options to the outside of the arm, excluding your leg techniques, are parry, salute, uppercut. So parry, salute, pull that arm down, and uppercut coming up. It might not be clear, again, when I'm working without a partner, but envision what I'm doing here. The jab is coming through, and I'm slipping and moving offline. If my uppercut is successful in coming up under the arm and hitting the person under the chin, indirectly what will happen is this arm of the striker, when I hit them, this will hiccup because the body always arcs away from pain. It's like touching a hot element on the stove. You don't sit there and go, oh my God, it's hot, I should probably move my hand. You didn't realize it was on, you touched it and the arm pulls away, and then you realize, oh my God, the oven's on. So you parry, you salute, you come through, this hand, which is your monitoring hand, pulls the arm down in anticipation of you feeding this shot through and hitting them. It's to make sure that you don't get hit by their elbow through the effectiveness of your uppercut. Okay? 1, 2, 3. So that's your first option to the outside. Second option to the outside, flowing off of what you just did. Do the exact same launch. 1, 2, 3. But now from here, the uppercut arm rolls to the back side of the tricep, and your left leg moves in, and you perform your tricep takedown. So you can still do your first option, but if you get any sort of resistance partway through, just switch it to your tricep takedown and take them down. They're called fail safes. They're things that you do when what you wanted to do didn't work. And you should always have certain fail safes that work with your arsenal or what you like to go to. So 4-directional throw, tricep takedown. If you like to do a tricep takedown, your 4-directional throw is a great alternative because they're opposites. When you're doing your defenses to the inside, we're going to do a parry eye jab, which was the isolated drill we just did, but then we're going to wrap and we're going to hit with the elbow. So again, envision that the partner is throwing a punch. We've now done our 2 kicking drills, our 2 kicking options. We've done our 2 options that put us on the outside. We're now going to do our 2 options that put us on the inside. So I'm going to parry, eye jab, and that eye jabbing hand is going to wrap the jabbing arm or the punching arm as my rear hand comes through in elbows. Okay? So again, the attacker's here. We're wrapping this arm with our eye jab arm. 1, 2, wrap, hit with the elbow. Okay? You have to hit quick with that elbow because you're in range of the hand that's in front of you. So you have to suppress that and hit them right away. Parry, eye jab, wrap, and elbow. The next one is the same thing. Oh, sorry, my apologies. I looked at the wrong note. It's actually a deep enter, parry, and it's a deep enter, with your vertical elbow coming up under the chin. So that jab is coming through, parry. The salute comes in as you enter and comes straight under the chin with that vertical elbow. 1, 2, coming through. This technique that we just did, the deep enter with the elbow, is the key to the next two techniques, which is your throwing techniques. So the punch happens, we're gonna parry, we come through, the right hand is gonna go around the hip of our partner, the left hand is gonna go to their punching arm, generally funnels to a choke point like the wrist, and now we hip throw. Our Japanese term for hip throw is ogoshi, right? O meaning a great or a major motion. So parry, hard entry with that elbow, crash that midline. You want to have that person that's punched at you feel this when you hit them. So 1, 2, and now from here, this finds a part on their punching arm, this goes around the body, and then carry or execute ogoshi, or the hip throw. All right, last time for this. Coming through, ogoshi. The last one is Ippo Sawanagi. We'll do the judo version, which is your shoulder throw. So 1 hard entry. From here, find that same choke point, but rather than going around their back to their hip, just go under their shoulder, their punching shoulder, and execute Ippo Sawanagi, 1 arm shoulder throw. For those that don't know, Sawanagi is your shoulder throw. Ippon means 1 arm. So you have 1 arm shoulder throw, Ippon Sawanagi. Then you have 2 arm shoulder throw, Muroto Sawanagi. Or you can have just straight Sawanagi. They're all shoulder throws, just different variations based on leverage what you're using. So you parry, hard entry, crash with the elbow, grab the choke point under the shoulder, and then execute your shoulder throw. One more time. 1, 2, come through and execute your shoulder throw. All right, guys, ski, Ray. Great job.